Yo, what up guys, Travic here, and today I want to talk about 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur Reboot. Now, if you've seen the recent news, then you know a couple of really interesting things are happening. First and foremost, Path of Exile 2 is being delayed, and while it's unfortunate, I personally am appreciative of the devs taking the time to be extremely transparent and let us know they need more time to work on it and everything with the databases. So I say to you guys, if you do see this, thank you for being open and honest. Thank you for telling us what's going on, and when December rolls around, I'll be knocking on the door ready to play. But with 3.25 right around the corner, I kind of want to talk about what's going on. First and foremost, on November 7th, which is a day or two from now, depending on when you're watching this video, we will be getting a reboot of the Settlers of Kalguur League. What this means is that a softcore, self-found, hardcore, pretty much all the leagues will be getting their own little temporary reboot. You can join a private league, and you can actually see it on the main screen of Path of Exile right now. You can see in 2 days, you can sign up and join the new private league. This league will run in unison with the current Settlers of Kalguur League, and there'll be a little bit of a twist. When you go into the new league or the private league and you play or the event, they will have the Necropolis Lantern, and this Necropolis Lantern will only have positive mods. Meaning that every hour on the hour, to my understanding, these mods will rotate and change, and for an entire hour, you get these really cool mods on all of your maps, and they'll drop more currency, and they'll have all kinds of little fun things going on. Outside of that, with the event, if you push to level 50, you will get a mystery box, and that's pretty cool because you get a little bit reward for your time, and you get a cool cosmetic, you get to play with some extra currency, it's an economy reboot. It's pretty sweet if you ask me. Now, the real question, what do you plan on playing? What's the best thing to do? The beauty of this reset is 3.25 has already been solved. We know the best routes to take. We know how to do the town. We know how to do the boats. We know what league starters worked, what league starters didn't work. We know people, what they would have played, what they would have done different. We have all kinds of information. And today I kind of want to use this video to talk about what I would do. In 3.25, and when we started, I played a really fun, crazy build. I actually have that for you guys here. I played the Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing Assassin. This league starter was insane. It did everything that I wanted it to do. It completely cleared all content. I was able to jump right into a map. I was able to play Peacock of Bouncing. I cleared all the content. I got my Void Stones, and I just did everything that I needed to do. This build was absolutely positively fantastic for Settlers of Kalguur. I would not have changed a thing. I enjoyed every single step of the way. The POB was laid out. Everything I needed was nice, smooth, crisp, and clean. The biggest thing though that I would change is now with the reboot, you as the player need to decide on what you want to do. And my first pick, or one of the things that I know personally firsthand that works really well, is this Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing. The downside to Peacock is you will eventually need the bounce spell. It comes out of labs, and if there's not a lot of people doing labs, it might be a little bit difficult to get. But this build did it all. It handled all content really well. I have a POB and a video description down for you in the description, or a video link down for you guys in the description. This build has a step-by-step walkthrough of all the acts, all the everything, and pretty much everything you guys need to know, with gear, no gear, skills, when to swap skills, and how gearing should look. This build, like I said, was great. It was my personal league starter with Settlers of Kalguur, and I did everything absolutely fantastic. This was my #1 pick going into the league, and with the reboot, it is still a really high pick on my list. And the reason I put this one #1 on my list is because I've already played it. I started it. I know the ins and outs, and if I were to do it again, I would do this one hands down. No questions asked, jump right into it. And I really encourage you guys to take a look at Peacock. The only thing that I'll say though with going into this league is you guys need to make a quick decision on, do you want to be a mapper, a bosser, or sanctum? And I think mapping is absolutely the way to go. But if Poison Concoction is not going to be your personal cup of tea and you're looking for something a little bit different, then I want to point your attention towards the Power Siphon's Mind Trickster. If you haven't seen this and you haven't watched this play, essentially this build has been able to clear all of the campaign content. It is an extremely smooth leveling experience. Its mapping capabilities are completely off the charts. It has an infinite, endless scaling, and eventually, because you're Trickster And because you're doing all kinds of fun things, you get to go into Ephemeral Edge and energy shield stacking, and it is just the most craziest crack build I have ever played. This one is a solid number 2 on my list, and the only reason this one is not jumping Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing for me is simply because I league started Peacock. I know exactly what to do. I've done it comfortably. I've done it super well. I cleared all the void stones and everything. And honestly, with how smooth it was, I would do it again. Now, the POB for this guide is pretty straightforward. I'll have that included for you. It will give you a walkthrough of everything you need to do to get up and running. It'll bring you through Act 1. It'll bring you through Act 2. It'll have you make the power siphon swap, and the video itself in the description of the video will have all the information that you need to swap to the higher end build. Essentially, with power siphon mines, pretty much you're just going to play a Trickster. You're going to abuse all the beautiful sides of Trickster. And because we have access to the town, you get to take Trickster plus the town and make a completely cracked character. Ideally, though, with this, you'll follow in the steps of what they guys did in the Gauntlet. I'll give you guys some of that Gauntlet information, but if you're looking for a really smooth mapping experience and something that can clear bosses with infinite scaling, this is the pick for you. The biggest difference between this and the Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing is it's a little bit more tedious to gear this character up. Though the both sides of the coin is both of these characters start on a shadow, and it's really nice and really easy to transition to a Trickster. I do think with this league overall, Trickster will end up being the most played or one of the most popular things that you can be doing, and probably be the biggest aim that a lot of players aim for. It's just going to come down to the matter of, do you start with something that plays with Peacock of Bouncing and stay that the whole way, or do you swap to the mines and play the mine character? Either or, playing a Trickster going into this reboot is probably one of the best things that you can be doing, and something that you should be heavily considering. This character, you will absolutely positively not go wrong. And like I said, it is my number 2 choice simply due to the fact that I played Poison Concoction of Bouncing the whole way. I know it really well, and I understand in a straight start environment, I do think this is the more powerful option and one that you guys should heavily consider. Now, going into number 3 for my choices, if that is not your cup of tea and you want to deal with a completely crazy mapping character, and you want to go fast and you want to take advantage of the lantern and you want to go all in, I really heavily suggest a bow character. Now, a lot of people are going to say a bow character. I don't agree with you at all. That's not how this is going to work. Do you know how hard it is to make a bow? Do you know how much of a pain in the butt it is to get a fizz bow? Do you know how strong power siphon mines is? And I'm going to say to you, I do. I understand 110% where you are coming from, but there is something that you're not factoring. We've already played Settlers of Kalguur. We've already solved the town. We know exactly how recombinators work. And because of how strong recombinators are in the town, it'll be really, really, really easy early league to get a couple of bows, set up your town day 1, day 2, and start slamming bows together for a really nice, smooth mapping character. Because the lantern has no downsides, you are able to really fully take advantage of the lantern and all the positive mods that it has to offer. And it should be relatively simple for you guys to get a character, get it some simple gear, grab a bow, and start going off. Hello. Welcome to YouTube. This is my cat, Bigfoot. He's a little pain in the butt, but he's adorable. But anyways, I really like the idea of the Elehit of the spectrum. I have a POB that I was originally going to play at the start of the season this league. I flushed and mapped out everything for you. And honestly, I'm really torn. I'm torn between this and the power siphon mines. I think this is going to be really good. And I think it's going to be an absolute monster of a choice, especially if uniques end up getting to be really cheap. Ow, go. Especially if the uniques end up getting to be really, really, really cheap very quick, because we know how boats work. We know how everything works. It shouldn't be too hard to get this character up and running. I think if you take full advantage of the town and recombinators, just like the Trickster, you're going to have an absolutely positively fantastic experience. The upside to this character is it's fast, it's quick, it's snappy. You have access to Tailwind. You have access to all the abilities that Ranger has to move quick, to hit hard, and to really get the ball grinding. So if you're aiming to do more content and you're aiming to be able to do more bossing, you probably want to consider the power siphon mines, or if you're looking for a nice well all-arounder, you want to go to Poison Concoction. Overall, though, I think that the Deadeye is going to be really strong, and you can even play it as Warden and substitute out some of the Deadeye stuff for Warden stuff for that little bit of extra spice. Now, if a bunch of people do end up playing the League and Forbidden Flames and Fleshes are in abundant, playing a Deadeye and grabbing, like, you know, some of the Warden ones, you know what I'm saying? You do a live search for Oath of Winter really early, pretty strong. Though the one downside that I will mention with Deadeye is going to be squishy. It does have the word dead in its name. It is an absolute character that will die. It will not be tanky, and you are a 6-portal warrior. I wouldn't take this one to the hardcore, ladies and gentlemen. This one will indeed drop dead. It's in the name. But otherwise, it's pretty strong. I like it. I think it's probably my front runner. But if Deadeye is not your cup of tea and you're looking for something that's completely different, off the rails, non-trickster, non-everything else, and you want to do something really cool, I would suggest hardcore slamming. Now, you don't have to play this character hardcore. You don't have to play it as a marauder. You can indeed play this as a berserker. But slam skills have been one of my recent favorites. I played this in hardcore. I played this in the Aero League. I played this in the Gauntlet. I took this to maps. And playing Jugg Slams or class dot slam skills is really, really, really cool and just an insane amount of fun. There is a world in me where I do just say YOLO and log in Berserker Slams the day of. I really don't know. I'm really torn, man. All of these options are so good. The more I talk about all these different options, the more I'm even certain which one of these I want to pick. Slams themselves are completely cracked. They are very strong. You get a nice big axe, you slam down, you blow up a whole bunch of mobs, and it feels really good. You should be able to get all of your Void Stones. You should be able to go through all of the content in the game, no problem. I probably wouldn't do Legion, but you can do a lot of the content really, really smooth on this character. It is absolutely great. There's a lot of really good information on the Slam character in the description of this video, which I'll include for you guys. And I found a lot of information on the Slam character and copied a lot of what Al Kaiser did because he is like the king of slams. And I'll include a link to his YouTube down below. And this does come in as my, what is this, 4th pick of the league? 1, 2, 3, number 4. This is my 4th pick of the league. I do think this character is absolutely positively phenomenal. And I think it is something you guys should consider if you're looking to do something that you haven't done before. One of the beauties of the reboot is it allows us to try different paths that we haven't tried before if we're not going to just all log in Power Siphon Mines. The other really big upside to what you're doing is, hey man, if you want to play Marauder and you want to play Slams, I mean, you just log in Power Siphon Mines on the Marauder until you get Marauder gear to Slam. I mean, you know, you can't go wrong. You just play Power Siphon Mines on everything. But this POB that I got from Al Kaiser will include everything that you need to do. It will walk you through step by step on how to level. You will start your character as Sunder Slams through the entire campaign. And if you're looking to get 50 and out, this is the easiest way to do it. Most hassle-free way to do it. You just slam a whamma jam and you just blow everything up. This character is absolutely positively fantastic. And the only reason that I am like putting it lower on my list is I've played it so much recently in a bunch of private leagues. And I don't think I want to personally start this again, but it is so strong. If I did not just play it for 2 Aero Leagues, a Gauntlet, a solo self-found hardcore run, a Settlers hardcore regular run, I probably would have done it again, but I've played it so much recently. It is that good. It is so good. It is so strong, and I can't recommend it enough. It is definitely out of this world, positively, absolutely fantastic. And you see in this video, you are just leaping, you are slamming, things are blowing up. There's cool blood explosions everywhere. It is out of this world. And if it's something like, you know, like I said, check out the video for this. It'll really walk you through everything that you need to know. Now, coming in at number 5, we are going to be talking about the ManaMan. To be able to cast, we are going to be talking about the ManaMan. This character was sweet. This character was super fun. I enjoyed the leveling process of this character. I enjoyed playing this in maps. And the only reason this character is low on the list, it is indeed a 2-button build until you get some gear up and running. There are a couple of upsides to this character. One, it looks sweet. It can clear all content. Playing with a whole lot of mana is really cool. It does a metric ton of damage, and you can clear an insane, and I mean an absolute insane amount of content with it. The downside to this character is you do need a couple of like transfigured gems. The other big downside to this character is it is a 2-button build until you get some gear up and running, and it's a little bit squishy. So while it does have its cons, it does have an absolutely fantastic positive leveling experience. The POB that was given to me that I played, I believe, was Ziz's, and I played and copied the early game setup where you just follow along level 1 through 12. It has everything that you need from a rolling magma swap to I think it swaps to fire. Yeah, it does swaps to Firestorm, and then when you get to the end game, you've got to get a couple of like alt quality gems or transfigured gems. And you know, to some people, day 1, day 2, day 3, that's a little difficult. You know, they don't want to be spending all their times in labs until they get all the gems. So it's, you know, the transition is a little rough if you're doing a lot of things solo self-found or you're not making a lot of currency, but it is an absolutely monstrous build. It is super fun to play. And then as soon as you transition it into like an end game setup with Katava's Thirst, it goes from a 2-button build to a 1-button build. I've actually played this in League. I have a character with, you know, a massive amount of gear on it inside of the current Settlers League. I have been playing it off stream, and it has been absolutely positive blast. The downside, like I mentioned, is I did play in a hardcore league, and it did die because it's a little squishy, and trying to set up with your mana and do everything with your mana is a bit of a pain. So, you know, it does have its ups and downs, and that's why it's a little bit lower on my list. You know, it's down there because of the flaws, but it's pretty fun to play. I know a lot of people did play it and had a lot of good success with it, and you shouldn't go wrong if you choose to go with a ManaMan. Now, the last one on my list is something really simple and really, really easy and straightforward. We are going to be talking about a Hexblast miner. When I originally played Hexblast, I played Hexblast for one thing and one thing only, and that was Sanctum. Hexblast is the Sanctum king, in my opinion. There are some people who are going to watch this and say, but this is even better. In my world, Hexblast for Sanctum is king. And because we know how Settlers turned out the first time, we know Sanctum is absolutely busted. We know that Sanctum is one hell of a place to be. We know that we can play Hexblast inside of maps relatively early. I do have it in this video here where we can go into a map and start playing Hexblast very, very, very early. And you need very minimal gear to get Hexblast up and running. And it just feels good both in maps, out of maps, and in Sanctum. Because we know Sanctum is such a powerhouse, and we do know Sanctum gives a lot of divines, and we do know people need currency, if you're looking for that early game boost, that early game everything, Sanctum is probably going to be the play, regardless of everything we know about the current league. The downside to Sanctum, though, is Sanctum does not have gold in it. So you won't be able to progress your town, you will be a little bit behind on town, but you should be rolling in divines because Sanctum is Sanctum. So hopefully if all goes well and you choose a Sanctum path, you really can't go wrong. Now, I did this a couple months ago in 3.24. This still works in 3.25, and I'll include this link for you guys, and you guys can easily see on day 1 of Settlers League, plenty of different people played a bunch, and I mean a whole lot of different Hexblast builds. Hexblast in itself is really easy to get up and running. Hexblast is insanely simple and insanely strong, and you can play it on so many different ascendancies. It's kind of like taking a page out of, you know, the Mind character with the power siphon and just playing it on everything. I mean, you can just play it. You can play it on everything. But if you do decide to copy what I did, the POB is here. You do start with a rolling magma setup, and it walks you through everything that you need to do, including the Hexblast swap in Act 4, Act 5, once you get the links and the sockets and the gear going. And it's pretty smooth. I've had a great time playing Hexblast. I love Hexblast. Hexblast is absolutely positively fantastic, and I really, 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 really like it a lot. The only reason Hexblast is dead last on my list is for one reason and one reason only. I personally plan to map. I want to do mapping. I do not want to do bossing. And I go back to this original announcement and I keep thinking about this. The Lantern says a chance to drop additional Chaos Orbs, increase pack size. If we can manipulate these mods and move them around, then mapping is going to be the play, especially if everybody has the same Lantern mods for an hour. If we hit hour, say 7, and it's Chaos Orbs, you sure as heck better believe that I'm going to be on a Deadeye and I'm going to be blasting maps as fast as I can. Load me in, tier 3 strand, run up and down that beach, baby. Give me all them Chaos Orbs. But the Settlers League was great, and you have so many absolutely positive, fantastic options. You can even copy any build that you have seen out there that's worked. I'm actually going to give a big shout out to my boy Arrow because he played Ice Shot and Penetration Mines, and they were fantastic too. You have so many good options going into the 3.25 Settlers Reboot The question that you have to ask yourself is, what order do you want to do things in? Do you want a map? Do you want a boss? Do you want a sanctum? Do you want a heist? Which one of these successful tactics has worked and that seems appealing to you? Overall, my plan for the 3.25 reboot is to get into maps as fast as possible. I'm planning on blitzing the campaign and just working on my atlas. As far as the town goes, I'm going to do my best to get mining up and running with crops as fast as possible so crops start growing. There's been a really good video recently that Sir Gog has put out that's taught us more about the boats and everything, and we need crops going. So my plan going into this is to literally get to maps as fast as I can, get a Deadeye more than likely up and running, or the power siphon mines up and running as fast as possible, start blasting my way through the campaign and into maps, and really just get my town up and running. Keep something in mind, getting the town and the mine to level 12 gives you more ore, more gold, more everything, and just blasting maps should give you enough gold to power through your town in a day or two. Realistically, it's probably going to take a few days to get the town up and running, but the faster you get farming going and the faster you get mining going, the faster you can start sending out smaller ships to start getting runes and more scarabs, and pretty much you just want to get your town rolling. On top of that too, we know exactly how powerful recombinators are, and like I mentioned, if I do go Deadeye, I need that town up and running because I, on day 2, want to be slamming bows together and just try to make myself a really nice bow as soon as I can. But overall, I'm really excited for the league reset. I think it's going to be a really good time. I hope people do play it. I hope a bunch of people don't just quit at level 50. I would love to see the livelihood of the league and hear about all of the cool things that you guys are trying and see what the Lantern has to offer and just, what happens. I think, being a month out from Path of Exile 2, there'll be, plenty of cool things to do for the next 3 or 4 weeks before we get to POE 2, and pretty much we'll get rolling. Now, all of these videos mentioned in today's video will be in the description down below. You will have a link to all of the videos. They will include all the POBs. I'll have all the POBs. I'll include a link to Arrow's video. I'll include a link to Sir Gog's video. If you have any questions about any of the videos or any of the league starters, please don't hesitate to leave a like, a comment down below. Stop by the Discord, stop by the live stream. I should be live streaming Settlers all weekend unless, knock on wood, something happens. But, we'll be there, Starting on a Thursday, man. Why are you starting on a Thursday? I'm not prepared for a Thursday start. Where my Friday at? Odds are we're going to start it on Friday because Thursday is just such an awkward day. But outside of that, I'm really excited. I can't wait, man. I'm excited. I really am. And I hope this video gives you a little bit of help and understanding of knowing what to start, where to go, and how you guys want to do things. But like I said, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask down below, or stop by the live stream, or come join the Discord and engage in any of the conversations going on about Path of Exile or even Diablo. But for now, friends, I'm gonna get this video out to you guys, and I hope you guys have a fantastic, wonderful 3.25 Settlers restart, and I look forward to hearing about how your league start went. For now, friends, I'm gonna get this video out to you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.